You're ready to become part of the 10th annual awards dinner, and at which we recognize some of the people in the field and in our organization who have accomplished noteworthy achievements. So tonight I would like to begin with asking our founder, Dr. Peter Bregan, to come up and say a word.
No, I'm not getting an award.
It's not getting an award. Peter doesn't get awards anymore. He just gives them out now. He's the dean. Peter.
What's the award? What do we give?
The award.
Yep, no, I got it. This is impromptu, but not impromptu. This is the award of the International Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology. Presents its award for distinguished service as a psychiatric educator, clinician, and author. The recipient of this award is very dear to me and to our group and to many of us. And I'm really pleased to have her becoming more and more involved in our organization. I'm talking about Joanna Moncrief. Where is she? Where are you? Is she? Huh?
I bet she fell asleep.
Is she not here?
She's not here.
She's not here?
I bet she fell asleep.
She's got jet lag.
Right, she's jet lagged. She was coming to the dinner.
Should we wake her up?
Yeah. Geraldine, could you do me a favor?
Well, let's go to her room and present it.
Could you, Jim, are you doing it?
I woke her up last night to tell her she'd been elected to the board of directors.
Could you give her a call in the room and see if she's available? This is terrible. I should have stopped to see if she
Well, I mean, really, what kind of organization is
I
this?
asked her at like 6 o'clock, are you coming to dinner? And she said, yes, of course I'll be there.
Well, would someone else like this award?
Well, why don't we table it and then
Table this award.
we'll table it because we still should award it to her
But
when she comes.
all right, she's a wonderful person, a mother, a wife, a professor, a clinician, an honorable psychiatrist. To be an honorable psychiatrist is a feat that requires such determination to be honest in the face of a sea of dishonesty that I really would be nice to have her have the award.
Yes. Thank you. And I'd like to invite now someone who's really responsible for getting Joanna here and who really reinitiated some of the contacts with some of our European colleagues, and that is Grace Jackson. Would you come up, Grace? First do Janice Hill and explain why she's not here.
Sure. Thank you. Thank all of you for being here. I guess I did succeed in inviting and having some positive responses to the invitations, but I can't keep the British crew awake. Actually, we were delighted that Joanna could be here with us. We had two individuals who also had been invited, and initially we had anticipated their presence. We're recognizing their achievements, even though they were unable to join us for the conference through a variety of circumstances. This award that I'm presenting right now in absentia says the International Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology presents its 2007 Distinguished Humanitarian Award to Janice Hill for her selfless and caring service to families and children. Janice speaks an interesting language. She's from Edinburgh, and I tried to understand what they were saying during a visit. This was 5 years ago. I had a chance to visit with them. I first met Janice Hill through this organization. Peter had expanded this truly international, and there was quite a group of wonderful people in the United Kingdom who I was first meeting. This was around actually 2002. So I guess now I'm telling a Janice Hill story. Janice was mentored by Dr. Steve Baldwin. And where's Dave Stein? Dave's here. Okay, so we're honoring the spirit of Stephen Baldwin as well. Dr. Steve Baldwin died tragically in a train crash at the age of 39, and this was, what, 4 years ago? So it wasn't too long after that I met Janice. And Janice Hill was having a conference. Janice is a mother and grandmother many times over, and she met the whole, or came into the scene of psychiatry and psychiatric abuses as a mother. One of her oldest children at the time was a boy who was diagnosed, guess what, 4 letters? You know the story, ADHD. And she said, no, I think that maybe not. And she did a lot of research, as wonderful, loving, creative mothers often do, to save their families. And she discovered that her child had gluten insensitivities and a number of dietary insensitivities. She also did a lot of her own personal research in the area of orthomolecular work. I know Dr. Humiston is here, so he knows the orthomolecular material too. And David Oakes probably knows this as well. So she did a lot of her own research and saved her child and her other children too from the psychiatric labeling and drugging fiasco. But Janice went beyond that. That wasn't enough for her. She decided, whoa, wait a minute, there's a problem here, and maybe this situation is also occurring in other families and for other mothers and fathers and their children. So what Janice Hill did was rather phenomenal at her own expense, or rather with no support whatsoever. She founded a nonprofit charity organization which was named by the children themselves, called the Overload Network. Isn't that nice? Overload. Aren't we all overloaded? So what these kids did is they gave the name to her organization called the Overload Network, and you can do a Google and look for the Overload Network, and you'll pull up some of the accomplishments of Janice Hill, even though she couldn't be here. I first met her in 2002 when I was invited over to a brief conference, and then subsequently again 2 years later, Dave was there, and these wonderful people that are part of this network, and these Scottish people really are interesting characters, and I almost understand some of their language, but it is a different English. She's delightful. If you have the conference program, the best tribute to Janice Hill is probably summed up there in the words of her mother. And somebody, oh, here it is. Hey, thank you. Let me find it. Here it is. Let me find Hill. And I had been in contact, with Janice's mother, Marion, who's another delightful soul. She unfortunately also could not be here, but she was tickled pink to think that somebody was finally honoring and acknowledging the work of her daughter. Here's what Janice's mother has to say about her daughter. She, Janice Hill, stood by parents when docs were recommending Ritalin, telling them of the safer option. She went into schools and argued the mother-child's case for expulsion of the child, or rather against expulsion of the child. She fought doctors, I love that. She fought schools, social work departments, anyone who would listen. She took on the drug companies, anyone who was anyone. She went to Parliament, and this is true, she went to the Scottish Parliament and argued for the parents, all at her own cost. Finally, she never made a penny from all of the years of her work. This was 25 years of work. 25 years of work we're honoring here. She begged for samples of vitamins to give to parents who could not afford to buy them. This is the kind of self-sacrificing person that I'm delighted to see. I'm delighted to know her. I feel good just standing here talking about her. Janice is almost completely blind now. Had she been here, she was going to be traveling over with a companion to actually help her negotiate the travel. And unfortunately, at the last moment, she couldn't come because she developed a clot in her leg and it became unsafe for her to fly to be with us. So for all these reasons, you're not going to have the privilege of knowing this wonderful person. But she is going to be delighted to have your love and to realize that we were here talking about her. And Stephen Baldwin is going to be delighted to know that we're also honoring him through his mentoring of Janice. So I love these people. If I could be in Edinburgh, and unless I could be with Sean Connery, these would be the other people I would hang out with. So that's Janice.
take that and send it to him?
Absolutely. Do you want to come on up? Come on up.
Just briefly, one piece about Janice is that she consumed the Ritalin before
Oh, I didn't know this.
taking her stance.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can all hear this. Dr. Fred Bauman, who is another delightful person who was on that first trip when I was in, we were in Teesside. We were in Middlesbrough, England, at this first Steve Baldwin conference that Janice had organized. But now I'm putting it together. It's like the neurons are actually firing. You know, give her some more iced tea. Okay. So, okay. So Fred was there, and that was the first time I met you. And Fred just shared with me something I did not know. The reason why Janice became as concerned as she became is because she decided she would try the treatment before she would give it to her child. So she took Ritalin and didn't like it. Heaven forbid if she had liked it. Again, she's she's in Edinburgh, and they're already used to a very different form of tranquilizing called wine and scotch. I mean, what can you say? Okay. So that's Janice. Thanks, Fred. I didn't know that. There's another individual who unfortunately was not able to be here. Is John Leo here? John? Uh-oh. Is he sleeping? Yeah. Oh. What is it?
He's from Scotland.
You know what? We'll go. Whoops. We'll go with Dr. Bratter up to Joe's room and wake her up, and then the rest of us will do an intervention at the bar. Okay. We can help John. Okay. Sammy Tamimi is another, I would call, psychiatrist of conscience. That's, I guess, sort of what this organization represents, people of conscience from various walks of life. And Dr. Sammy Tamimi, he is a world-renowned psychiatrist. I think, Bert, you know Sammy's work. So you might want to add, yeah, you're an admirer of his work. You want to come up and say something about how you admire it? Why do you admire it? Do you want to say something, or I'm putting you on the spot? I'll tell you how I know of Sammy. I know of Dr. Sammy Tamimi through my exposure to the Critical Psychiatry Network, CPN, which is Joe Moncrief and Duncan Double, and these people, you know, we're sort of building the bridges with them. I know Peter has done that on several trips over there as well. And Sammy Tamimi is a part of this upstart group of British psychiatrists who really, you know, rock the boat and upset feathers, or I don't know, other metaphors to use. But Sammy Tamimi has a book coming out entitled Rethinking ADHD, and I was invited to contribute. Peter, you've contributed. John Leo's the co-editor. And Sammy Tamimi already has 2 previous books. He's a devoted child psychiatrist and very, very concerned about the arbitrary labeling of existential reactions, especially in young boys, and really places a great deal of responsibility at society and families and parenting and away from this business of labeling and drugging. And